can't beat being somewhere like this. Yeah, just sort of forgetting yourself in it, and it's great.
Today we are filming Penrhyn Castle in Wales, which is standing in for Ashford Castle in Ireland, which is one of the Guinness's massive country estates.
As you can see, it's not hot at all.
Really looking forward to finishing today because it's so unbearably cold.
We're not far from Ireland physically. It feels quite Irish. We've got mountains. We've got this fantastic neo-Norman castle, which feels quite like the actual location and does its job in terms of storytelling really well, because it's opulent and grand, but also has a feeling of sort of slightly excessive wealth. And we're quite inspired by Citizen Kane and Xanadu, and it has that sort of feeling as well.
Well, we're shooting a lot of things. I think there's a beautiful dinner scene between Edward and Dodo where they both are trying to hide how much they like each other from each other. So it's one of those scenes where it's all in what's not said.
We're going to be here shooting in this big banquet hall, and my character Edward, he's courting Adelaide, who I do the scene with, and so he tries to impress her with this big dinner, an expensive bottle of wine.
It's full of irony and sarcasm, and it's two kids in an environment that's too big for them, that they are trying to act like adults, and I think we all relate to that. I also think they're two very dysfunctional people who are emotionally handicapped, and I love that about that.
While she likes the big grand gestures, she really wants a connection and wants somebody she can be a sort of teammate with, as opposed to somebody who's going to spend a lot of money on her, which we like.
Ahead of that, there's her arriving on the carriage, discovering the place. So we're discovering the place with her as a character.
So there's a real sort of there's a wow factor to it. If you've been inside, you've seen the staircase, you've seen the dining room. It's on a grand scale. It's sort of Xanadu for Victorian times. It's way out of her comfort zone, and she's reacting to the splendours and opulence of the Guinness family that she's seeing.
So I just spent 15 minutes with Anne Skelly in the carriage. We're having a lot of fun.
So we kind of muddied the wheels and the spokes so that it looks like the carriage has gone on a long journey cross country. All of this is kind of undercarriage, where the mud has hit underneath of the carriage and dirtied the whole thing. The back here, where we had too much splashing up there, so we had to kind of wipe it off. And then things like the rope that holds the luggage on, that was too new, so we had to get some dirty wax and age it before the shoot. But yeah, it all looks like it's been on a very long journey through the fields and the dirt roads of Ireland. There's so much detail involved in it. You kind of wonder, like, the extent we go to kind of create this whole atmosphere that sometimes might not be seen, but if it's not there, you'll notice it. So it is important.
We have an amazing team. The production designer, the costume designer, everyone in the team is so dedicated to make it look not only real and accurate, but also new and unique. And when I think of directors like Jane Campion, who always manage to create period that's accurate, but create something really modern in the relationships and the way, I think the challenge for us is how to be accurate, but also create something modern and unique, and how to make it feel timeless and universal and modern, despite the fact that it is period.
So, it's challenging to do any sort of period show, but we've got a great team, a very dedicated team who are really keen to do the research.
The director always wants to know what you think about the character, how you see the character, and then that's what you usually do. It's called a mood board, which you have the essence of the character. So Edward is the youngest son of the Guinness family, and he is one of the leading characters. He was kind of a very useful and like an aristocratic looking leading man. So therefore, you go and get your the feel. It's usually kind of a board of the feel of it, the colors, the color palette, and what you think about the character. And here's some research, about the period. So basically we spend like weeks and weeks of online, in bookstores sometimes, or in libraries, to kind of find out everything about that period, whatever, how people used to look, what they did. Every little detail is important information in order to create the characters.
That was a very important thing for us, not to present the usual sepia-toned view of the past.
Like sketch artists as well, because we've got a lot of like the Fenians and the Irish political sides. There was lots of references, cartoons and like from newspapers and so on. So it's brilliant to kind of pull those influences in as well.
Yeah, and then also always looking at contemporary fashion and kind of fashion through the ages and how it's sort of interpreted through a slightly modern lens, but still being authentic to the period.
So that's maybe good fun to see, our man on the stick. That's our Benjamin Lee Guinness, who's kind of like the dead father, see how he has obviously a wig on. So when we have that scene where he kind of, in the morgue, they're putting a smile on his face, so we had to have this, that's like get glued together. So we needed a silicone head, so obviously you couldn't, for the very close up, you can't really make somebody kind of close their eyes so still like this head. So we shot it with this gentleman here. That's our lovely gentleman. His like teeth and everything is it's amazing work from called this Millennium Effects. They made that. So they kind of scanned the supporting artist's face. They scanned the whole face and made that from that. It's quite incredible work, and the paint work is really incredible as well. So that's kind of like a collaboration with the props department, obviously, so we needed a body, we kind of built something quickly out of the clothes from the costume department. So it's kind of that kind of stuff. It's always fun those days.
I, Sir Benjamin Lee Guinness, hereby give, devise, and bequeath all my said brewery concerns to my eldest son, Arthur Edward Guinness, and to Edward Cecil Guinness, jointly and equally. And I direct that said premises so left and bequeathed to them shall belong to and be held by them and them alone.
The great thing about it is that it brings obviously a sort of a stately home drama, but with a young, youthful cast and the vibrancy and vitality of Steve Knight's scripts.
With Stephen's writing comes an element of fiction as well as truth, and so it's a story that people may be somewhat familiar with. I mean, people be familiar with the drink, and some may be familiar with the family and some of the law, but this kind of takes fragments of it and builds something kind of incredible and threads these lines, weaves them between each other, and creates this story with colourful characters. And there's so much life, and if you look at any still from the show, any still I've seen, it's big and it's booming and it's moving and it's smoky and it's alive, and the characters are all saying something. It's quite lean in that way. It's like there's no fat. People are there for a reason, and it's fun as well. It's really fun. I tend to be more drawn to things that are quite sort of grounded and authentic, but sometimes it's fun to be a bit theatrical with it, and to have moments where you kind of take a bit of a jump and have your little moment in the spotlight and then turn to camera. I don't know. It's a nice balance, I think, between the fiction and the truth. I think Stephen, that's down to the writing, the direction, everything.
What makes House of Guinness special, I think, is how bold it can be in many ways, how playful, how unique and flawed and lovable the characters are. There's something very sensual and rock and roll about it to me, and I think that's what drew me into the scripts of Stephen Knight, is how it really felt like it was about dysfunctional human relationships, but in a world that feels quite timeless. So that's exciting to me.
I've had we're coming to the end of the shoot, but it's been quite a long shoot. It's been quite a long one, including a bit of rehearsal. So we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, which is kind of often rare for these shows. But I think it's so important for the actors. Like, if I could look back at sort of how I thought of character in the show before rehearsals and after, it's quite a different thing. And so I, as an actor, as much as I love sort of looking at the pages and thinking about it on my own, I find that I learn by getting it on its feet and talking about it and acting and mucking around with it, basically. So I was very grateful for the 2 weeks of rehearsals we had. And as for the show, the filming of it, we've had 2 directors. Just finished with Tom Shankland on Block 1, who did 5 episodes, which was great. He was brilliant, so positive, cared about the world he was building, and had time for all of my vain questions. And then, now we're working with Munia, who's equally brilliant and used to be an actress herself, so has that background in acting, and so approaches it from, basically just gives us space and time, and appreciates the privacy often that you need when you're doing a scene. Or but I've had a brilliant time so far.